Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review. There's another paid request, this time from Jose Ballard. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, reactions, topics, rankings lists, commentaries, reviews, re-reviews, pretty much anything, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I had not seen since it came out in 2014. And when I first saw it, I thought it was a mess and a pile of shit. Now, Jose sent in a request for me to revisit the first Amazing Spider-Man, which I'm still not a fan of. I think it's boring. I think it's a... gotta retell the origin again. And watching this is not a rant. This film has issues, it has flaws. It's one of those films that for every good thing, there's another bad thing. It's like, does something right, then it does something like, what the fuck? But watch it again. I don't know if it's because suffering through the 2.5 hour, The Eternals, Shane shit, Black Dildo, Black Widow, Avengers, Infinity Game Bane, Justice League, Zack Snyder's 8-hour cut, whatever the fuck. This was a mess, but it's kind of an entertaining mess. And I do think it's better than the first one. I do think it's better than the previous, The Amazing Spider-Man. For a few reasons. It has a lot of flaws. You know, the stupid, disapproving Dennis Leary. That's fucking stupid. Didn't need to be in there. It tries to pack too much. This is a film that would have been so much better if it took stuff out. You don't need the death of Gwen Stacy. You did not even need Green Goblin in it. Rhino, if Paul Giamatti's performance was not so over the top, he didn't need the Russian accent. If Paul Giamatti was himself and not the Russian accent, maybe that could have worked better. Electro, don't make him blue. Just make him Jamie Foxx, but when he has his powers, he fixes up his hair, or he's bald. He's bald, and he's more secure with himself. It's, you know, the Jamie Foxx you would see in, I don't know, Miami Vice. Why did I pick that movie? That's a bad movie. But you've seen Jamie Foxx in The Kingdom. I'm trying to think of like what he's where he plays a villain. He doesn't play The Kingdom's a good movie. He doesn't play a villain. But anyway, just without the glasses, more secure with himself. He didn't need to be blue because that made him look more ridiculous. That's the thing, is that there's ways to fix it, but there is stuff I like about it. A lot of it on a superficial level. Number one, I think this has the best score of any of the Spider-Man films. And that's something that when I first saw it, I went, what the fuck is this music? Watch it again. I really warmed up to the music. Hans Zimmer and I forget who else worked on it. I really grew to appreciate the score. Because I've never been a fan of the score and the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. I know a lot of people liked it. I've never been a fan of Danny Elfman. What Danny Elfman and them did with that. Never been. James Horner's score in The Amazing Spider-Man, I think, is awful. Underwhelming. The score is fairly good. Like the opening, gives this epic feel. And even the stuff I thought was ridiculous back then with the Electro. As like this whispering. Actually, maybe because it feels so unique compared to other superhero films, especially nowadays. Maybe because it was trying to do something a bit more, and I appreciate more its uniqueness. The score really stood out to me. And I would say with all the Spider-Man films I've seen, this has the best musical score. The costume. I think the costume is much more improved compared to the first one. The first one I thought was one of the lamest costumes. When I say the first, I mean the first Amazing Spider-Man. Here the costume's very solid. The action scenes. This has some of the best action scenes in a Spider-Man movie. I don't know if I say the best. I still might go to Spider-Man 2 with the fight scenes he does with Doc Ock. But if not, if it's not the best, it's the second best. And it's sad that the action scenes in this are more than even in Spider-Man Homecoming. Because Spider-Man Homecoming, I cannot remember much of the action scenes, but like when he's swinging and the camera's following when he's swinging, like his point of view, and the fight he has with Electro in Times Square, and the way he does the Spidey sense with the slow motion. I like the one that's done in Far From Home at the end with Mysterio. But here, the action scenes were rather solid and impressive. I thought much better than the first. So I think this has better action scenes than the first. Again, Amazing Spider-Man 1. Better costume, better music. I think the relationship between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone works better. Because we've gone past the fumbling, as if they're trying to ad-lib. We've gone past the awkward phase. Now they're no longer awkward. And the way Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone are playing off each other, it's actually fairly endearing. And I can't believe I'm saying this. This made me appreciate Andrew Garfield more. Watch this again. When I see his performance here, I think he improved much compared to the first. He worked out the kinks. He seemed much more sure of himself playing the character. Like his relationship with Emma Stone, I think it's the best love story of all the Spider-Mans, because I think Kirsten Dunst as Mary Jane is a bitch. This new Mary Jane, what is she as a character? I can't even tell you. Like, they're going to the third final film, because apparently this is the final Tom Holland film, this new Spider-Man. I still don't know what the fuck Spider-Man, Mary Jane, who the fuck, is she even a Mary Jane? Is that even her fucking name? That's how shit they've done. And I like Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Homecoming and Far From Home, I don't hate. I liked aspects of it. But the way they have, and it's not Tom Holland's fault, the way Marvel, Disney has made of this is shit. Where this is going to be the final Tom Holland, and stupid fucking fat fuck friend, a girlfriend who's a nothing, Aunt May, who looks younger than him. No Uncle Ben, because we don't need Uncle Ben anymore, I guess. Fucking Iron Spider bullshit, which I fucking hate. I hate Iron Spider. I hate the fucking spider metallic arms. That's a fire alarm. I'm gonna burn this fucking place to the ground because I'm thinking of Iron Spider. That's what Iron Spider makes me. I'm gonna fucking burn the place to the ground. Think of the Iron Spider. Suck my iron dick. Fuck the Iron Spider. You know, Electro, I think, is a more interesting villain, at least superficial power-wise, than the Lizard. The Lizard, I'm gonna turn you into a lizard. Here, at least he got the electricity stuff. At least he had more of a handling on his character compared to the Lizard. If you took shit away, see, there's a way to fix this. And the problems, like I said, for everything I'm saying good, there's a lot of stuff that's bad. The parent stuff. You don't need the parent shit. That was one of the worst mistakes this iteration did. Was trying to put all this stuff about the parents. This build-up about the parents. Where did the parents go? If you want to have it that the parents disappear and he never figures out why, okay. Just don't explain it. Leave that to be a mystery. Or, you know what, just leave it, they died in a car crash. They died, and he's got to deal with that guilt. I've never getting to know his parents much. It's not guilt, but sadness. As well as Uncle Ben. But the parents stuff still went nowhere. And it was a lot of filler that you didn't need about, oh, the dad worked for Oscorp and made it so that pretty much Peter Parker was born to be Spider-Man. It wasn't just an accident, offshoot, a chance, serendipity, fate, luck, whatever. It was, well, I altered your DNA. And You could always get this. And it didn't add anything, enough value of positivity, like, wow, that was so cool, interesting. It didn't add any of that. It just was wasted time. It filled up a running time, and it didn't need to be. No one gave a shit about him journeying into the subway system with some fucking coins to look at a fucking subway, and then there's the secret of the father. It wasn't interesting, it wasn't intriguing to me. I didn't give a flying fuck about it. Take that shit out. Harry Osborn, if you want to have it where they were friends when they were kids, but they haven't seen each other for a while, but they were little, and then just have this film be this. You build up more Electro Jamie Foxx, build up his motivation more. When he changes, don't have him turn fucking blue. You keep the hoodie. Keep the hoodie, keep the look, and just have him take the glasses off, like the Superman, Clark Kent. His hair, maybe his hair is, he's bald. He's more sure of himself. People are noticing him more. So he's... And just have Jamie Foxx look like Jamie Foxx. That way you have the glasses, the messed up hair, the demeanor. Almost like the Selena Kyle Batman Returns. Or her hair, and she had a little bit of her act to Michelle Pfeiffer, and then she was more assured. It's like she glowed. You could do that. Yeah, it did seem a little bit like Edward Nygma from Batman Forever in this. But I wasn't upset with Jamie Foxx's performance. That's the thing. It's just they're rushing through this stuff. Because we gotta put Rhino in there. We gotta put Harry Osborn. We gotta put the parent stuff. We gotta put the disapproving Dennis Leary, which was ridiculous. Take shit. I did have Electro build him up. Harry, you want to introduce him? They become friends again. And the ongoing relationship with Gwen Stacy. And then, if you want to do a Green Goblin, just do that for one movie. And have it just to be about that. That's the issue, is that to them, they only have like 3 movies to... Why do we only need 3 goddamn movies all the time? I know someone explained that. Well, because they only... Why, though? If you do a good enough job, you could keep going for 5, 6, 7. Fuck, there's like 12 Friday the 13th films. If you did it well and you did it right, we could watch it from a boy to a man. But you have to do it right and take your fucking time. But they always have to rush it, and every time they rush it, they fail. We gotta do that, we gotta rush it. Or, you know, either get actors that are tired of it, like, if Robert Downey Jr. wanted to do Iron Man 4, they would have done it. But he didn't want to do it anymore. If Chris Evans said, no, I really want to keep making Captain America movies, they would have done it. But they don't want to do it anymore. But I think someone like Andrew Garfield, he would have done Spider-Man 8. You chug along and you make that film the best you can. You worry about the other stuff later. But okay, again, what did this film try to be? The parents. What happened to the parents? The history of the parents. Electro. The beginning, middle, and end of Electro. Put Rhino in there. Oh, put Harry Osborn. And then his dad died. And then he's sick. And he needs Spider-Man's blood. And Spider-Man's like, I'm not going to give you the blood because I'm worried about what it'll turn you to. But on the flip side, he's going to die. So, and he's asking you, begging you to get it. So, still, wouldn't you still just give him the blood anyway? I'm like, this could do something to you. And make a deal like, hey, if it does something to me, you can stop me, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's going to die anyway. If he's going to die and he wants to take the chance, give him the fucking chance, man. Just give him the chance. Then tries to be a precursor to the Sinister Six, which that never happened. And then we got Felicia, fucking potential Black Cat. You throw in Felicia Hardy in there. Marvel has done this. Now look at they never learn. This happened with Spider-Man 3. This happened with Amazing Spider-Man 2. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is more entertaining than Spider-Man 3. I'll say that. Now they're doing this with a new one. They keep making the same mistakes. For some reason, they don't want to think about learn from your past mistakes. No. Just this new Spider-Man. Oh, we're going to make it 2 hours and 40 minutes. Make it longer does not mean better. Do people realize that? We don't have Doctor Strange. We don't have Spider-Man. He doesn't know who he is. Well, no. What am I talking about? I don't know who I am. I'm discombobulated. People know who he is, and he doesn't know what to do. That's what I meant to say. It was two things. I merged it as the one. People know who he is. He doesn't know how to handle it. His identity is out. All that stuff's going to be happening. His family's friends, everybody. Well, almost everybody knew who he was by fucking Far From Home anyway. Now it's like, okay, why does he even need the mask? Then the multiverse, all that's going to happen. Then the new other Spider-Mans. Then all the fucking villains. Which you probably don't have the Sinister Six in this. There'll probably be Doc Ock, Green Goblin, probably Lizard, Electro, Vulture, and Mysterio. Unless they throw in Sandman or something random in there. But they make a mistake. Make a mistake. It's nothing's going to have room to breathe. And that was one of the issues with here. Is like it starts out with the fucking action scene with the parents trying to be a wannabe James Bond while the plane's going free fall, and Peter Parker's dad is fighting some guy as if again trying to be a wannabe Mission Impossible scene. Again, the parent stuff was never needed. It's like they said, we need something in the origin that's different. Because Sam Raimi's Spider-Man was so soon before this. People still fresh in their heads. So we need something more with the origin. Just skip the origin. Just skip the origin. That's the one thing Spider-Man, that they did right. Was get the bite. Skip that. We've already seen it. That's what they could have done with this. But, I mean, whatever. The opening action scene with Spider-Man is actually entertaining. Paul Giamatti, I liked him as an actor. He didn't need the fucking Russian accent. Why give him an accent? Just have Paul Giamatti be crazy. I've seen him do that in Shoot 'Em Up and other movies. He did do that well. He didn't need the Russian accent. That seemed really like campy. With this fucking gold chain. But other than that, I like the action scene where he saves Jamie Foxx and he's swinging around and he's trying to grab all this stuff, uses agility, and he's on the front of the truck. And he has the phone call with Gwen Stacy, and then you have that sense of humor being utilized into it, and flipping over, getting the bus to save. It's big. It feels big and grandiose. Spider-Man moves like Spider-Man should move. He's putting some sense of humor. Andrew Garfield's doing a better job trying to use sense of humor. He does a better job of that than Tobey Maguire. Because Tobey Maguire, when he tried to do a joke, it came out as flat and stilted and... Like, Tobey's not that type of guy. Tobey's not the type of actor to throw out a one-liner. The delivery is just off. Whether it's the voice or just... It's like Opie Taylor from Andy Griffith's show trying to be funny. Ron Howard trying to be funny. I mean, it just doesn't work. At least not to me. It just doesn't work. This did. Sally Field is nice as Aunt May. But then he looks over and there's disapproving Dennis Leary. Why? Gwen, like Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, they actually have good chemistry in the film. They work well in the film. Is that just a bunch of fumbling words? And there's a nice scene where Andrew Garfield goes, listen, I promise your dad, and yeah, what, I'm going to eat dinner with you? Like, what does that make me? His emotions are showing. Andrew Garfield, that's a good scene from him. This made me appreciate Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. Watching this movie again. I think, again, their love story's better here than the first one. I think Garfield's more comfortable in the role. It's less of, look how much of a skateboarder I am, and more of just being Peter Parker. Jamie Foxx could work if you just take the other shit and concentrate more on the one or two stories you're telling. Maybe a bit of his background, a bit of his history. Instead of forcing this Green Goblin crap into it. You'd have him reconnecting with Harry Osborn, his love story with Gwen Stacy. Will he be with her? Will he not be with her? And Electro. That's all you needed in the film. Rhino, if you want to have that at the beginning and end, without the over-the-top Russian accent, without the fucking little kid with the fucking mask on. You could have the Rhino guy. You could have that. Even the fucking Rhino tech I could deal with, because, let's be honest, Rhino in the comics is a guy in a fucking gray suit with a horn on it. You can't do that in a movie or you'll be laughed off the screen. Can you imagine a movie with a guy with a gray suit and a fucking horn here? Unless he turned into a, like, Ninja Turtle, Bebop, Rocksteady, like that type of Rhino. But then people would be mad because that's not the comic either. I'm like, well, you can't do the comic version of Rhino. You can't. It'd be too fucking ridiculous. Even for a Spider-Man movie. But then they try to force, I like the montage of him saving folks. Even to a point there, he's wearing the costume, but he's sick. So he saves someone, but he's trying to get medicine. He's trying to move along from the clerk. But then they try to do this stuff where they needed, another thing they needed was they needed a plan. How about this? You make these movies with a plan. Like, if you had a plan for Harry Osborn to be a buddy, maybe you could feature Harry Osborn in the first movie. But the fact they're so close friends, but you never see him in the first movie, because it was never planned that way. You try to make shit up, and you try to put too much. It's like what they try to do in Iron Man 2, and a lot of these other movies, they try to put so much shit into it, so then the story suffers. And I don't hate Iron Man 2. One of the problems with it. And there's some decent scenes. The guy who plays Harry Osborn, I actually didn't mind the actor. He was in this other film called A Cure for Wellness, which I liked, despite it's too long of a running time. But A Cure for Wellness I did like. And the actor, he has some decent moments as Harry. Watch it again. There's one where they're skipping stones and they're talking about their life, and they're talking about Harry lost his dad, Peter lost his uncle and his parents. They have something to connect with. They're skipping stones, and their chemistry and their friendship works. They actually work well together. That's what I mean. You just need that build up. Story. Just story. And you always create random actions. It's like a Dirty Harry film. What do I mean by that? You watch a Dirty Harry movie, any of the Dirty Harry films. There's the main story, but then there's Harry just being a police officer. Watch any of the Dirty Harry films. So many times in those films he'll do something because, and it's an action scene because it's him doing his job. Oh, he's doing his job, he's going to die, so he doesn't burn himself in the dead pool. Or go give him a car, and he runs the car through and shoots some bad guys. Or even back to the dead pool. Fortune says, you're shit out of luck. That's nothing to do with the main story. It's just, you do that with Spider-Man. You could have random action scenes of him doing his job intermixed with the main story of Electro and these relationships. And I think that's what they should do with Spider-Man from now on. One central villain, Spider-Man doing random action scenes where he's being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, intermixed with personal relationships. You go on from there, culminating with the end action scene. Maybe among the random action scenes, 1 or 2 with the villain. You try to do too much, stuff like this, Spider-Man 3, I think the new one is what results. And Electro, you didn't need to make him blue. I'm blue, da-ba-dee-da-ba-da. You know what? It makes him look like Watchmen. What's his name? Dr. Manhattan. That's what he looks like. He looks like Dr. Manhattan. Without the, butt-ass nakedness and dick. And even that, there's potentially good things. And the Times Square scene, where Electro, he's confused, he's scared, he doesn't know what's going on. Spider-Man's trying to talk him down. And he's like, yeah, okay, yeah. I like that bit. I forgot about that bit. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, Electro is not just a villain automatically. He's scared, he's confused. He remembers Spider-Man saving him from before. But again, that scene would be better if Jamie Foxx just looked like Jamie Foxx, but he had these electrical powers. You don't need to alter his voice. He could turn into electricity like Shocker, Horace Pater back in the day, but he doesn't need to look blue. So in that whole Times Square scene, it was a fun action sequence. Slow-mo, showing his spidey sense and him doing this, and showcases his hero attributes, saving people. That was a fun action sequence. But they just try to put too much. Like, Electro gets caught by Oscorp, and then you have the stupid mad scientist from a 1930s movie. I want to know, like, whatever the hell accent. I want to know. He's like, he sounds like Dr. Strangelove. Why the fuck do you have a scientist that sounds like Dr. Strangelove? Oh, but I want to do that, but with classic music as they're doing tests on him. This is what I'm talking about. Like, someone needed to come and go, time out. Don't fucking have this mad scientist from a 1940s movie dousing Electro with classical music playing in the background. Don't have this whole parent shit with fighting a train and cut this shit out. You don't need Harry Osborn looking like Evil Ed from the original Fright Night. I was ready for, you're so cool, Peter. Ha ha. You don't need that. You don't need to put the death of Gwen Stacy in there. Harry Osborn, made the fight with Electro longer, with more physical punches and kicks. I like that Gwen Stacy was helping out. Emma Stone gives a good performance. Andrew Garfield, I think, gives a good performance. Stop rushing the shit. I did for every good thing. It's like, okay, you could do the death of Gwen Stacy eventually. And when you put the web thing, don't literally have the web become a hand. Like when the web shoots and literally it looks like fingers. Come on. My body even rejected that. Like, come on, man. That's what's frustrating about this. I see potential. You got a great score. I warmed up to it. I really did warm up to the music. Great costume. Andrew Garfield. Watch this again. He was rather good. Emma Stone, rather good. But just all this stuff they're packing into it, and just like, no, don't do that. Don't make fucking Jamie Foxx blue. Don't have Harry Osborn looking like Evil Ed. Don't have the fucking Diz Leary looking like Diz Leary ghost. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do. Oh my god, that would be interesting if someone did an edit, cutting a lot of this shit out. It'd be hard. But it'd be interesting if someone did a fan edit of Amazing Spider-Man 2, where they cut out a lot of the other shit, which I don't know how, because the ending. I wonder if there's a way to just combine elements of the two Spider-Man movies. Like, just call it The Amazing Spider-Man and use Amazing Spider-Man 2, but then use shit from Amazing Spider-Man 1 for the... I don't know. I don't know. I know this is called the worst Spider-Man movie. No. I don't agree with that. I think Spider-Man 3 is way worse. I'm going to say this. I would rather watch this than Spider-Man 1 again with Sam Raimi. I don't give a fuck. I have more entertainment out of this than the first Spider-Man with Sam Raimi. Because that one is campy and corny, and I can like campy stuff. I like fucking Superman 3. That's campy. But at least I like Christopher Reeve and Richard Pryor. I have a lot more sincere enjoyment. The first Spider-Man, Kirsten Dunst is a bitch. To be or not to be Maguire is a McCryer, and he just seems like a 30-year-old, I don't know, 40-year-old Ron Howard, Opie Taylor, Andy Griffith. I don't know, I don't care for his demeanor. I don't care for what Sam Raimi wanted to do with the camp aspect in that. Willem Dafoe is really over the top. Green Goblin looks like a shitty Power Ranger. The music, I think, sucks. The humor, Spider-Man himself sucks. His one-liners suck. You're out, Gobby. Out of your mind. Whatever the fuck he said. I really have grown to dislike the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 1. Spider-Man 2, I can watch for other aspects. I still think the best Spider-Man is Into the Spider-Verse. I think that's his best Spider-Man film. But I like this more than the first Amazing Spider-Man. I think it has, we're away from, because we don't have the fucking origin again. And like I said, I think it's better action scenes. Despite his flaws, it has a better villain, better costume, better music. And the whole, again, the ending where, again, they rush it. The death of Gwen Stacy. Should I even be Spider-Man anymore? I'm going to stay away. No, I'm going to come back. There's a little kid that I helped earlier who has a Spider-Man. You're rushing it. This is like stuff that you would extend and get gravitas and a lot of stuff to it. And you fuck up the death of Gwen Stacy. So now we've already seen that in a movie. So if they ever did that in the movie, it's that special because we've already seen it before. And you fucked up because you rushed it. You fucking rushed it. That's what I mean. For every positive, there's a negative. So if it's a mess, but it was an entertaining mess. And it just... I was more angry when I first saw it. I would watch this than most of the fucking superhero films of today, though. What Marvel's doing Spider-Man, they're fucking up with that, too. I want to take back a little bit of what I said about Andrew Garfield. Because watching this again, and I had not seen it since 2014. So fuck. 7 years. He was actually pretty good in this. I think he got better since the previous one. I think he would have gotten even better, and it's just a shame that we didn't see more of that. I actually would have been curious. But they just try to rush everything. Try to fucking rush everything. And it just... So it's not a rant, because I don't hate the film. It's just a missed opportunity. You had it and you fucked it up. But there's still stuff of merit that I like. And I already said that, so I'd be repeating myself. So, with that said, I'm sure this new Spider-Man is going to make the same mistakes. Because we can only do things where we can only have 2 or 3 movies. Because we gotta rush everything. That's one of the issues, is that with comics, you can have years and years and decades of material of build-up of characters. Here, you try to rush everything and say, wow, their entire life is encapsulated in 3 movies. Wow, it didn't seem like they did a whole lot. Because there's only a small amount of movies. Because no one wants to take the time to either have actors whose egos go, I don't want to play Iron Man 5, Iron Man 7, or they try to rush everything and they fuck it up. How many times have they tried to patch stuff in and it's succeeded? How many times? How many times have they patched so much shit into a movie and it actually succeeded? I guess people would say the Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame. Well, successful at the box office, successful to you, but to me, I'm not a fan of those movies. Yes, I would rather watch this than those movies. Because I don't have the Hulk trying to sell me a fucking taco. Or Thor. Yeah. Fat fuck Thor. Also known as Thor. He's not Thor. Fat fuck wannabe Big Lebowski. Thor. A.k.a. 4. 4 pounds too heavy. Anyway, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.